So I'm told there's a new thing now where you get about first 30 seconds of a broadcast. Doesn't necessarily, people don't necessarily get it because they give a big commercial and stuff. So yeah, that's about 30 seconds. Good evening and welcome to Pop Go the Writers.
We didn't
Do you
even get a
understand?
commercial in.
I could start doing that countdown thing.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so Jim and I are here. Welcome to Pop Go the Writers. We are going to talk about a few different things tonight. I finally got a chance to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So we're going to talk about that. Had held off talking about that for a while.
Just a little while.
Yeah, there's some news that might be interesting to catch up on. And Jim wants to talk about his recent rewatch of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which
why?
I had
Thank.
rewatched not too long ago. So we can talk about that.
Why? I recommend it for anybody who has COVID, like this guy.
Yeah, if you're on the verge of death, this is the show you want to
Yeah, I
watch.
know. Really, yeah. If you're stuck at home with a with a
If you've
horrible
lost your ability to taste
ailment.
anything, this is what you want.
I'm not sure why I picked that one, other than I kind of have been wanting to rewatch it. I literally, I think when it was first on, that was back when I was rewatching them as they were happening. Like, episode 1 of a series would come out and I'd watch it right on the first day. And then maybe the next day I would rewatch episode 1. So I was doing it kind of like episode 1, episode 2, and I,
Yeah.
but I even stopped doing that for, whatever reason, too little time. But I had a hankering to watch it, and I thought, oh, I'm stuck at home and can't go out of doors for several days. I'll watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I got to tell you something. That's a damn fine Marvel TV series. And honestly, and what I really wanted to say is that I think everybody has maybe kind of forgotten that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I knew that I liked it. I knew I had ranked it pretty high in all the Marvel TV series, but boy, was that good. And I mean, like, really good from beginning to end, as in I barely had any complaints, if really at all, about it. And it didn't suffer from kind of the situation we're in now, where like it drops off kind of at the, towards the end or whatever. I mean, this was like literally consistent, and every episode was good. And everybody in it was really good. I had pretty much had totally forgotten the John Walker, the character, that he was even in it.
Yeah.
And it's Wyatt Russell, and he's really good. I mean, he's really unlikable. I mean, you just hate the guy.
Yeah.
In it. But again, what I want to do is just kind of recommend everybody, if you've not ever watched it, I mean, why, I don't know, sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
If you've maybe only seen it the once or whatever, and you're kind of thinking about rewatching it, I would definitely recommend doing that. It's pretty damn important. I mean, it is so much a post blip, In fact, if I remember correctly, when it begins, we're only about supposedly about 6 months after everybody comes back, and I mean, it's a huge factor in the show. And I mean, as far as the character of Sam Wilson goes, how huge it is. If you're a fan of Sebastian Stan, I mean, he just does a fantastic job in it. It's the introduction of Val into the MCU, and her collecting, begins in this one. I think, if I remember, when it was all said and done, if people had any complaints back then, it seems to me it was about Sharon Carter. But me watching it again, I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, it's not necessarily the path that I would have chosen for it's what it was like. It was like Luke in Last Jedi. It's not necessarily the path that I would have chosen for the character, but to
Yeah.
me, it's completely valid. She had lost her entire life and couldn't go back to her own country and everything, and it kind of warped her in a way, and she found a way to survive, and unfortunately it was to become kind of a nasty character, in a way. And I'd forgotten at the end they do, spoiler alert, they do actually bring her home, but she's still pretty nasty. And I thought, wow, that whole thing is out there still.
I think that'll be resolved in the Armor Wars. I think she's going to be one of the factors in Armor Wars. I agree that I thought the Sharon Carter twist didn't make a lot of sense, but we were doing the show. You came on for the first show back then, and Paul Story was my co-host, and Paul insisted that Sharon is a Skrull because he couldn't see Sharon Carter making that turn. So he thinks she's replaced by a Skrull. To this day, he still does.
Oh, you know what? That's a really good point. We get an appearance by Skrull Rhodey.
Yeah.
If he was a Skrull. And you know what? It's a shame. It's a tiny little bit. It's not that big of a thing, but you want that to be the real Rhodey, what he says and what he does. But on the other hand, you could see why it would be valuable to Skrull Rhodey to be, there at that moment, and because he needs to know what's going on in Sam Wilson's mind as far as, is this guy going to become a bigger threat to us than we can handle?
But we really don't know exactly when Rhodey got taken over.
Nope, we still don't.
Yeah, a lot of people are assuming. So it's hard to, again, until they tell us, because it's not like they're, even the director, they put him in a hospital gown, but, he could have been in a hospital gown at other points.
Yeah.
So there really isn't a clear-cut answer for that. And a lot of people speculate, and people seem to be getting mad or, upset from the speculation. The other thing that I remember about the show, and I remember liking the show, people weren't that happy with the Flag Smashers because,
but what?
And a lot of that had to do with the fact that a storyline had to get cut. The Flag Smashers were kind of pieced back together because there was a whole pandemic storyline.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So,
but see, I don't think anything suffers from it. It's funny. Here's me watching it and being a victim of the so-called pandemic and not even I wasn't even thinking about that at all. No, I was thinking about how it was a good threat.
Yeah,
I thought through the whole thing, and the clever way that all three of our main characters, Sam, Bucky, and John Walker, all are woven into that storyline and all take a different tact, on it. That Sam, for the most part, through that whole thing, is agreeing with Carly. He doesn't like the way she's going about it, but he's like, I'm not against what you're trying to do, and he's like that through the whole thing until he sort of changes his tune.
I thought the parts with Sam and Bucky were great. I thought Zemo really helped that show.
Oh God, I didn't even get into that. Yeah, right.
I think I thought Walker and Battlestar were very interesting, and there were some bits with the Flag Smashers that I thought were reworked or whatever. I mean, excuse me, there's the whole death of their mentor-like woman, and we know that the actress they hired to do that is a somewhat prominent actress. So they obviously had more plans for her and had to cut it. So I would love to know what the original plan was, or if they ever could put that back together. That would be great. But overall, I thought his sister was awesome, Sam's sister.
Yeah.
The subplot with Bucky and the older Asian gentleman.
Oh yeah, Isaiah. You mean yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, I just watched it and I can't think of what his name is. No, that's a really wonderful thing. Pardon me.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention Isaiah Bradley,
Again.
which is another huge part of this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that got me to tear up. And again at the end when Sam is actually able to reveal his story, that's a really wonderful moment. Although I think he kind of should have maybe talked to him a little bit about it before, instead of literally taking him to the museum and go, oh hey, guess what, I revealed your story to the entire world.
But I think there's also this extra meaning to who they cast as Isaiah Bradley. But by the way, I want to acknowledge, hello Ed, thank you for the bless you. And I agree that you want the Tony, or I kind of want the Tony Rhodey thing to be real, the Tony's death. But at the same time, I think that's an incredible driving moment for him as a character. If we go into Armor Wars and he just found out that Tony's dead, and that he missed the opportunity to say goodbye, I could see that really being fuel for him. But I was talking about the character. Carl Lumbly plays Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
And being the first Black Captain America and all that happened to him, casting Carl was interesting because, and I don't know how many people remember this, Carl played the first Black superhero to ever appear on television in a TV series called Mantis.
Oh.
He was in a wheelchair and he built an exoskeleton that allowed him to walk and gave him strength and stuff like that. And the cast around him was all African American actors and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they had one white guy in the entire show.
Okay.
I think his name was Roger Reese. He went on to be in Cheers and played the sheriff of Nottingham in Mel Brooks' Robin Hood movie.
Okay.
But yeah, and Mantis was a big deal because, like I said, he was the first ever Black superhero on TV. And then Lumbly also went on and voiced Martian Manhunter in the Justice League animated series.
Right.
So he's like the godfather of superheroes. At least when it comes to Black characters. So having him in there just made perfect sense.
And I just remembered another aspect of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is it's Wakanda's in it too. Yeah. If anybody really wants to make sure they're watching every single Wakanda thing in MCU, that there's a big core of it is also a Wakanda. Again, it ranks as one of my most favorite of the MCU shows, maybe even my most favorite. It's almost a perfect one to me, and I put that alongside of Loki as far as like a good enjoyable one from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad I rewatched it.
It's one of what I would consider the most rewatchable.
Yeah. And honestly, the opening episode 1, the action sequence is still amazing. I mean, all the action sequences and the effects are really good throughout the entire series, but that episode 1 action sequence is still just incredible.
Yeah, it's hard to believe how much they did in 6 episodes.
It's 6 episodes.
Yeah, that's just phenomenal.
And it feels good. It feels really good at 6.
Yeah. I agree, and they definitely started high. With WandaVision was
Mhm.
unique but very interesting. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, really strong. Loki, they came out the gate just firing all cylinders.
Mhm.
But then, of course, I really like the Hawkeye series too.
Well, that's funny that you say that because that might be the next one I rewatch. I wanna I liked I have not disliked any of the series. I like more than some more than others. I Hawkeye was kind of a middle of the road one for me, and I wanna rewatch it because I remember, there were parts that I did really like. And then let's see, does that have is Val in that? Is Val in that one?
No, but she's the one that sends Yelena after Hawkeye.
I thought, well, isn't that
But
where
that
that
happens at
scene
that
exists?
happens at the end of Black Widow.
Oh, okay. You're right. That's right. That's right. Right. That's how it works. Yeah. And you know what? I would recommend Falcon and the Winter Soldier if you really want to get in the mood for Captain America 4.
Yeah,
I mean that's really the one to rewatch. So yeah, Hawkeye might be next.
yeah, yeah. Ed, I've liked all of the series for one reason or another. She-Hulk is humorous, it's fun, but it doesn't feel the most like the rest of the MCU. Miss Marvel, I was blown away by how much I liked the family dynamic, and I liked how much of the history of um, the Indian culture and stuff like that, Muslim culture that I didn't know about. We got to learn about.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, really enjoyed Moon Knight, Hawkeye. I mean, I would. My rankings are a little skewed, where I know a lot of people have Loki at number one. I don't necessarily, because to me, I like old school, typical comic stuff. So Hawkeye, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Moon Knight are probably my top three,
Mm.
with Loki right after that.
Mhm.
Where She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, WandaVision, they're a little lower for me because they're a little different,
Mhm.
but they're not bad in any way. And again, like you, I don't think any of them are bad. I've enjoyed all of them, even the What If series.
I think if I remember correctly, that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to have been the very first
Yeah,
series, and the pandemic changed all of that, and they put WandaVision first. And I said back then that I think some of the complaints about WandaVision came from them starting off with a real oddball one. That if they had
yeah,
started off with more of a typical one in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you might not have gotten some of that heaped on WandaVision. But you get, I mean, literally the very first episode of the very first Marvel Studios television show, and it's an ode to I Love Lucy, and people
yeah,
were like, "What? What is this?" If we had gotten that after all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I don't think we would have heard that. I think people would have given Marvel Studios a little more credit at
yeah,
that point.
yeah. It's kind of funny for me because I've rewatched most of the season, the first batch. See, I kind of think of it as two ways. There's the series that are based on existing characters,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the series that start new characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done rewatches and covered it for, did episodes based on all of the ones that are based on existing characters. I haven't done Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, or Moon Knight yet.
Okay.
So, and I still need to do the holiday specials, and and I'm working my way through. I'm working my way through the series chronologically now, or the films chronologically now. So it's like I'm going to get back to Thor: The Dark World as the next one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or is it Iron Man 3? No, it's Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World comes before Iron Man 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Groovy.
Yeah, and I like Thor: The Dark World well enough. They underused the villain, but they do
I
that in most of their movies.
I rewatched it quite a long time ago, and I think that's. I mean, I don't need to watch it again. I mean, it's just okay.
Well, I definitely think that there's a Thor movie that's the bottom of the MCU, but that happens to be Love and Thunder, not Dark World.
Okay.
So,
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to, you know what? It might be to me. It might be a tie between just the Thor and the first and second ones, because I really like Ragnarok. I always
yeah.
have.
See, I liked Ragnarok. I just didn't like Love and Thunder.
Mm,
And neither one of them to me feel like a Thor movie.
Yep.
For me, the
I
first
remember
movie.
this conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Ed says, "Have you heard if they're doing anything like Werewolf by Night or Guardians of the Holiday Special this year?" I haven't heard anything, and I think with the writers' strike and stuff,
Yeah.
probably not, because it would already need to be done. And I know that they did Werewolf by these they did Guardians Holiday Special while they were filming Guardians 3, and the Werewolf one they did kind of the last minute.
I agree with Eddie asking about that, because I mean it's a valid question, because you would think, like, as far as I can tell, they had success with them both. I know that people really like Werewolf, for that matter. So you would think, like, hey, they tried out this idea and they didn't fall on their faces. Why haven't we heard about more? Yeah.
But I think the strikes have really hampered them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And especially I think Werewolf proved that you can have a short, one shot, and hit one of these, kind of mid-tier side characters of the Marvel universe. And maybe a lot of them deserve that sort of treatment. I know I would love to see just like more one shots with the horror characters, for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I want my Satana, one shot.
What the Ed will know about this. One of the things I'm doing on my show is I'm putting a pitch together for a special but it's a Jack of Hearts.
Oh yeah, no, I remember you saying that. Yeah, well, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I think. I mean, why not? They've done so much stuff that we thought maybe they'd never get to.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of characters, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's in the works that we haven't heard anything about. Wonder Man was supposed to be filming, but it got shut down by the studios, and so we're kind of on hold for now. That's why, it's like, they put out that thing for I Am Groot season 2.
Mm-hmm.
They put out a trailer for it, and it was stunned everybody because there had been zero announcement for it. So there is a possibility that there is some kind of special, and they haven't announced it because we didn't get the San Diego Con event.
Yeah.
Which is where they put out all this kind of stuff. So, but they didn't even Werewolf by Night was literally at one of the events. They showed the trailer like a couple weeks beforehand, and that was
it was only rumored for a long time. And I remember I kept asking people, and people going, well, that's not even actually officially confirmed that it even exists. And they went quite a while before they did that. So yeah, I mean, you're right. There could be something maybe well into the works, and an announcement just sort of got fouled up.
Yeah, I mean, how cool would it be for a Miss Marvel holiday special?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To see that culture brought to the holidays, as well as a setup for the fact that the movie's coming out.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and that would so lend itself to that format.
Oh yeah.
Have a holiday special every year and have it be different characters.
Especially if it's a character tied into a movie that month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they did last time with Guardians.
Absolutely.
Or it was coming out, but
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we've spent some time on that. Why don't we shift over? A thing of news came out, and I want to get your feelings on it.
Okay.
Supposedly, Gal Gadot has come out and said that she has had conversations with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and a Wonder Woman 3 is still supposed to happen with her.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, there's been other rumors that came out like, well, James Gunn said no, that didn't happen, and there's no evidence. He's never come out and said that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we do know that they did talk to her after they told her that they weren't going forward, or with the basically how it happened is Patty Jenkins turned in a script. They didn't feel it fit where they were going with the DCU,
Mm-hmm.
and they said there would need to be some major changes,
Mm-hmm.
and she declined to do them,
Mm-hmm.
and they parted ways.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, all the BS aside, all the speculation aside, that is what has been confirmed so far.
Okay.
So, you know, there is supposed to be an Amazon series in the works,
Yep.
but nothing specific about Wonder Woman. But Gal Gadot says that she's supposed to still be involved. If all of that is true, how do you justify getting rid of Henry Cavill at 40 years old and keeping Gal Gadot at 38?
Mm-hmm. A few thoughts. We do know that they are still going to retain the right to make DC superhero movies that aren't part of the combined universe thing, right?
Yes.
The Batman falls under that, and the Joker falls under that. So why not, Wonder Woman? I guess my feeling is that for whatever reason, Superman is something is very special to James Gunn,
Mhm.
more so than some of the other characters. And he also knows that it is the character. I mean, I guess you could argue that Batman is the character, but I think really to get across to everybody in the world, every moviegoer anywhere in the world, that Superman has to be right. And I just have a feeling that he decided on a course that doesn't include Henry Cavill. And that he is not interested in having any side Superman project that does not, something along the lines of the Batman. I don't know what to say about this Wonder Woman thing. Is it confirmed that Gal Gadot actually said this?
Yes, it was her Twitter account that said it.
Why in the world? I don't get this stuff about actors saying stuff when maybe they shouldn't. Like because it would to me, it would hurt her to say shit like that, and then not have Warner's, DC, well, whoever the hell it is now, be very happy about it. So I don't get that at all. I can see that she is a fan favorite, and I know Henry Cavill was too, but I'm betting that Wonder Woman just doesn't mean as much to James Gunn, and maybe that's why they're at least talking about possibilities. But she is quite a fan favorite. I mean, I've come out and said that, like, right after Linda Carter, it's her. There's nobody else.
I don't have a complaint about the majority of the characters that Zack Snyder cast.
Mm-hmm.
I think Momoa, great. Affleck, great.
Mm-hmm.
Cavill, great. Gal Gadot, great. Mm-hmm. Ray Fisher was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they gave him enough to be great. I think he was just there for most because of most of his stuff got cut.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan of Ezra Miller.
Mm-mm.
Wasn't back when I watched the movies before any of this stuff came out,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and wasn't a fan of their version of Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the heroes that they picked were fine, were good stuff.
I only think that Gal Gadot was just about spot on. I never was that thrilled about Henry Cavill. I have nothing against him at all. Honestly, I think Tyler, is it Hoechlin?
Hoechlin, yeah.
Hoechlin, is it Hoechlin? It is more Superman than Henry Cavill. And yes, I know you can send the angry emails directly to me for that one, Dan. But I don't know. I have a feeling that James and the other guy and whoever else behind the scenes are thinking to themselves, wow, we might really want to talk more about Gal. Do we really want to let her go? Is there still more with her? Is there one more we can do? Do we really want to let her go, being that she basically embodies the part? I mean, again, I can't imagine anybody else embodying that character right now, other than Linda Carter.
Yeah. Ed points out we're supposed to be saying the T, Gal Gadot.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, she did a talk show, and that sounds familiar.
Okay.
I just
So
so
we're
used to seeing
so
Gadot.
we're waiting for Gadot.
Yeah, it just changes everything, doesn't it?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but, yeah. So
let's see. So she's 38. Is that right?
mhm.
Wow. I think everybody would like to take that 38 right there. Wow. Okay. I know. I feel for all of Henry Cavill's fans. I really, 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 really do. I don't think it was anything against him. I think it was literally James Gunn coming in, having this other idea, wanting to move ahead on it, and then literally just saying, it does not feel right to continue with Henry, and it's a damn shame of what was done with allowing him to go ahead and say something and then go back on it. But that is this business too,
Yeah.
That's
Henry Cavill is not under contract, has not been under contract.
Mm-mm.
They brought him back for a cameo at
Mm-hmm.
The Rock's insisting,
Mm-hmm.
and it was that regime that said that he was back, but he was back for that movie,
Yeah.
but people took it as he's back permanently, and there was discussions about a Man of Steel 2, but it never went anywhere, and then they decided to go with Gunn and Safran, who wanted to go in another direction. That's business,
Yeah.
and that's not trying to. There was no promises made to Cavill, and he's moving on. He's leaving The Witcher. He's going to go do Warhammer movies.
Yeah. Wait, it's not like, oh no, this guy will never get work again.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He probably dodged a kryptonite bullet. You know what I mean? I mean, we all know that you get typecast when you play Superman. I feel bad for Tyler. I hope he can somehow get out from under that, someday. I mean, I'm sure he likes the money and the, the attention, but yeah, Henry Cavill will work again. And I urge everybody out there, please give the new guy a chance. Give him a chance. Let's see him in the outfit. Let's see him in the sky. Let's see him with a twinkle in his eye and all of that. And let's just hope that James really does have a clear Superman vision,
Ed asks, any chance of Shazam 3, or do you think that one's done? No. I want to be nice about it, but besides the fact that the second movie did atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even watched it yet. It's been on Max for a while, and I've watched Black Adam, but I haven't watched Shazam 2 yet.
Mm.
Zachary Levi has come out and made a lot of noise, and
Hmm.
I don't think that's going to help the case either.
Mm-mm.
I think this has just been a huge mess.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that Warner Brothers is desperately trying to make money while they fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, a handful of movies basically got through under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to change. I mean, that's the sad thing, is that, you know, I don't think we're going to see what the new universe is really going to look like until early next year,
Yeah.
after Aquaman has come out. And they don't,
Maybe.
but I mean that they'll be a little more upfront about things.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not continuing with this franchise.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because they not from the point of view of them starting stuff,
Yeah.
but I think that in a lot of ways, Gunn and Safran are a little handcuffed because Warner Brothers still wants to make money on Blue Beetle and Aquaman and Flash, and they haven't been doing it with Shazam and Flash because of this half in, half out thing they're trying to do.
We're in an incredible transition period. It's so weird, so weird. I think I said it before. I think Blue Beetle is going to get savaged and forgotten. I think it's going to tank just abysmally, and it's going to be forgotten almost as soon as, I mean, as quickly forgotten as Shazam 2. I can't see it doing anything. I don't think anybody knows what the hell it is. Nobody outside of comic book fans is looking at it and going, "Oh, is that a DC movie?" No, I don't. It's just going to be some weird ass superhero movie, and I don't think they're going to get it.
Well, that's the interesting thing is I actually saw some reviews start trickling out, and they're surprisingly positive, like really positive about the movie.
Reviews don't, as well as I do, reviews don't necessarily equal box office.
I know, but they're talking about the humor, they're talking about the heart, the kind of things you want, and the fact that James Gunn said that this character and actor will continue in the DCU.
Okay.
Maybe that's enough to give it life support, And
I suppose it was the easiest one to fold in because it doesn't really have the strings, attached. I am intrigued as to how they will fit in the other Blue Beetles. I know that now I'm a little jealous because I saw people, there's somewhere out there in the world at one of the chains of theaters, they have a Blue Beetle bug popcorn bucket that I'm a little jealous of, but I want to hear, I from what I understand, the villain is actually a Cord. It's like Victoria Cord, or
played by Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, which like Susan Sarandon, you know what I got an immediate flashback of is Faye Dunaway in Supergirl, as being the villain in Supergirl. That's it. I got that exact same vibe. It's like Susan Sarandon, a little bit older, big time actress. She's playing the villain in a kind of a, not very prominent superhero movie. I don't know. It's just like Susan Sarandon. Like, what?
Well, I'm looking at the movies coming up.
But yet Helen Mirren played the villain in Shazam 2.
Yeah. So I'm looking at what's coming out in the next couple of weeks. Barbie is still number 1 at the box office.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is still number 2.
Who would have ever thunk that?
Yeah. So it's still there, and they're still chugging. I mean, the only number 1 that came out this week, which was the Last Voyage of the Demeter, came in at number 5. Everything else was already out. But So what does Blue Beetle have? It comes out Friday,
Yep.
and everything is limited except for let's see, something called Back on the Strip.
Won't Barbie hurt Blue Beetle though?
Well, how this is going to sound like a weird way to put it, but just how long are Barbie's legs?
All right, you win the internet tonight.
You know,
Wow.
will it eventually people are going to be like, okay, we've seen it, let's move on to something else. So, you know, I mean, there's a movie about dogs called Strays. There's a project called the Untitled Please Don't Destroy Project. So nothing, I mean, the only thing opening wide that has anything behind it is Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
And
my question is Barbie the I haven't seen it. Is Barbie the kind of movie that you want to go back and watch again, or is it you watch it once and you're excited about it and that's it?
I get the feeling that people are going back.
Okay.
But it's in week 4.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going into week 5. Is there going to be enough interest to keep it, you know, or were people ready for something new?
Now I can't imagine, and I didn't see Oppenheimer, but I can't imagine that's a movie that you go back and see it again in the theater.
No. I mean, once a bomb, always a bomb, you know?
Yeah. Did you make these up before the show and you've just been saying, waiting for that moment to
Off
say
the top
them?
of my head.
Oh my God, the legs one. You couldn't have made that up. Somebody had to have thought of that before you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay. Now I didn't say it was going to crush Blue Beetle. But it can't help them. It can't help Blue Beetle to have two. You know, at least one juggernaut, if not two, still out there.
But if you think about it, they've been out 4 weeks now, you know, and they're doing like 20 million this weekend.
But I'm also saying Barbie. Everybody knows who Barbie is. Blue Beetle. Nobody knows who Blue Beetle is.
Right, but you have a Latino superhero. You've got George Lopez, who's very big in the Latino culture.
Okay, you might be suggesting that a Black Panther effect will come into play here.
Yes.
That an entire community will come out to embrace their superhero. I mean, is it? I think that's what you're saying might happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Addressing what Ed asks if Barbie and Oppenheimer success has anything to do with superhero burnout. I actually did an article today. I did an article today about people talking about superhero fatigue, and they all seem to come down to the same thing: is it isn't so much superhero fatigue as it is bad movie fatigue.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. You know? Yeah, there is no superhero burnout.
Guardians 3 did well because it's a good movie. Across the Spider-Verse did well because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Quantumania did okay because it's an okay movie. Flash is not a good movie. Shazam, to a lot of people, is not a good movie. When the word of mouth is so negative, you don't, you know. Now, anticipation can be, you know, your opening weekend anticipation is, you know, how big the box office is. But a lot of these movies, these smaller movies like Blue Beetle, there's a good chance that it may not win its weekend. You know, it might just be mixed in with, you know, another weekend for Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yep, I think that's what's going to happen.
But the word of mouth may keep it long enough, because I mean, the following weekend, Gran Turismo is the only big thing opening. And if the buzz starts getting positive, and because a lot of the negativity and stuff having to do with whether there's Zack Snyder heroes or not, you know, and all this back and forth, this is kind of outside of all the realm of that. So I honestly can't say one way or the other how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it does well. But also,
Oh,
this is a movie that doesn't need to do incredibly well. This was a movie they originally made for HBO Max. It
mhm,
was one of the lower budget
mm,
movies they did, just like Batgirl.
yeah.
And when they looked at it and went, okay, this would work well on the big screen. So they spent a little more money on it and they're doing marketing for it. Where Batgirl, they're like, this is not going to work on the big screen. And they killed it.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of people who will go to see Blue Beetle, and I'm talking about comic fans or whoever, and they're going to say, like, "Oh my God, they axed Batgirl and put this one." So what you're saying is they probably improved the special effects a little bit, put some or okay, because
yeah,
I was going to say, my God, if they're going to have effects like that, it's going to get savage too.
yeah,
Okay,
no. So that's where they probably put the money, is from what I understand.
understood. How did Guardians of the Galaxy 3 do overall? What talking about like it just did okay kind of films or whatever. Was that considered a success?
Well, let me pull up the numbers.
'Cause I already forgot there was a Flash movie,
Yeah,
you know? When you said that I went, "Oh, yeah, that's right. There was that I'm Batman movie." Well, you know what? And even that couldn't save that thing.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I would consider it a success.
Okay, I thought so too.
It opened for 118 million,
Mhm.
which is a really good opening.
Mhm.
It did 358 million domestically. It did 845 million worldwide.
Hmm.
That's big numbers. It's not Barbie numbers.
Mm-mm.
Barbie is on a different level. But I mean, you compare it to, it did almost the same as Guardians 2, worldwide.
Yeah.
It's about uh, 18 million short of the worldwide of Guardian 2's worldwide numbers, and compared to one, it's well above one.
Mhm.
One did 773 million,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
it's right up there.
Okay.
It's tapping the same audience, so
Okay.
yeah, and it's had a successful VOD release, and yeah, Guardians was a hit, and like I said, Across the Spider Verse was a hit. If
Mhm.
you make a good movie, people are going to see it. If you make crap, that's the problem. Is that a lot of the movies have either been suffering from the pandemic throwing everything off. It's like the number one complaint I heard about Quantum Mania was the special effects. Well, we know all the special effects houses were screwed up because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
Everything got backlogged, things were unheld, and then they're trying to push all this stuff through. Half of the Quantum Mania team got pulled in to do Wakanda Forever because they were trying to get that done too.
I didn't think that the effects in Quantumania were dubious.
I agree with you, but
Well,
I'm
one
saying,
thing, one thing I thought was not that great, and that was MODOK. When his face and everything that threw me every time I saw it. Other than that, I loved actually,
yeah,
the whole created world. Huh.
I'm with you on that, and I think I would love for them to do another pass on Modoc.
Yeah, actually, sure. Yeah, you know, there's just something about it that was just not right.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm good. I'm good with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we should talk about Guardians 3.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
I
I.
am not somebody who likes awkward comedy. I don't like sitcoms.
Hmm,
That's why I wasn't, didn't jump right into WandaVision.
hmm,
Why I don't like sitcoms.
yeah, because it was an ode to sitcoms in a way.
Yeah. So there are some parts of Guardians 3 that are awkward comedy,
Hmm.
like him spilling his heart to Gamora and finds out he's on the open channel to everybody.
Let me ask you this though, but I mean okay, you never cared for Guardians of the Galaxy humor then, because it's nothing different than James Gunn has been doing all along.
For the most part, I ignored those parts because I like so much of everything else in the movie.
Yeah.
Drax is usually very funny. Mantis.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I think Drax can be very embarrassing at times, although I think he finally, comes through as a sort of fully fleshed out character in 3.
He does. And my point is, if I had anything to complain about this movie, that was it. Is those awkward moments.
Okay.
And what's that? And I don't care about them. They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything else about this movie is so good. Is so just every character has an arc.
Yeah. I was hoping you would say that, because that's what I think too. Yeah.
Drax becomes the father figure that he should have been, had it not been for Ronan killing his family. Gamora lightens up and gets the family she deserved instead of being tortured by Thanos. Gamora gets a family, even though it's a different family because she's different. Peter finally stops running, and stops trying, maybe that'll make him less of the obnoxious guy.
Right.
I love that he goes back to his grandfather, and that his grandfather recognizes him immediately. There's no, it's me, Peter. It's Peter. Rocket's arc, and the fact that he's been the protagonist this whole time.
Yeah. There's another who to thunk it kind of a thing.
Yeah. Somebody pointed out, I was watching the director's commentary, and James Gunn is talking about how at the end of the movie, Groot goes up and says something to Gamora, and she understands him finally. And he points out that to Groot, Gamora's his mother. Because that the twig that grew up is not the same Groot in the first movie.
Okay.
That's an offspring, basically.
Yeah.
So that's how James Gunn approached it.
You know how I took Groot's suddenly launching into like something we can understand thing?
Oh no, that's
I took it as we, the audience, have finally been around him, or we have finally become family with the Guardians. That's just like the rest of them. Now we understand, what he says. That's how I always kind of took it. I mean, I love it that you can take it a lot of different ways.
And that's how Gunn meant it, according to the thing is that there's a telepathic part of his speaking.
Yeah. Yes.
And
it has to
when you get to know him, you connect to him.
Yep.
You pick it up.
Yep.
So that was Gunn saying we're all family at the end there.
Yep. That's exactly right. I did enjoy Gamora's like, oh, come on now, you're just making it up, with what he's saying. You're just making that all up now.
Yeah.
That was I think I was a little, I was pleasantly surprised at how they came to the end and addressed her and Peter, because I thought maybe there was going to be that Gamora was going to stay with the Guardians and everything. So I thought that was, handled very well, is that he said, I'm okay with this now.
Yeah.
I understand. And then the little nod to it, though, I bet we were fun. That That was very, very nice.
Yeah.
I was so happy with everybody's story, in that. I was a little surprised at Mantis going off
Yeah.
on her
But it
own.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Everything that the characters end up doing makes sense
yeah.
because we've been building up to it.
There's a one shot. There's an hour-long special for the TV show, Mantis on her own.
With her 3 obelisks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If there was a downside to this movie is I still walked away not caring for their interpretation of Adam Warlock. I wish it could have been different. It is what it is. It fits in with the Guardian universe and all of that, but that's not Adam Warlock.
But see, I go back to Adam Warlock's second appearance,
Mm-hmm.
where he basically fights Thor for Lady Sif.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, that's kind of what we get here. Because
Okay.
Adam really didn't have any experience or anything like that.
Sure.
Yeah, he was just trying to follow what, his nature
Yeah.
to, so in that sense, they played it for humor,
Yeah.
but I think it's a character that could grow into the type of character that we know him to be.
If the real Adam Warlock is still down the road somewhat, okay. I would prefer an Adam Warlock wearing the Soul Stone on his forehead,
Yeah.
for the most part. But for that movie, I didn't care for what was going on,
Yeah.
with the character. Did you think that it would be overly harsh for animal lovers to see this movie?
I wouldn't think so because we really don't see a lot of, we see the transformations, but it's not like outright cruelty. And then when they are being cruel to them, they're definitely CGI characters.
For anybody who's watching this and who hasn't seen it because they have heard about the animal cruelty component of the movie, I feel that same way. There is not actual, I don't think there's anything that could trigger some people that much like it, but it's very important because the movie is completely anti-animal cruelty. The guy responsible for it gets his comeuppance,
Yep.
and you also deny yourself, and I hate to say it, I can't think of that actor's name who plays High Evolutionary. You rob yourself of that actor's performance, which is amazing.
His name is Chukwudi Iwuji.
Thank you. That one. Yes.
Yeah.
But you don't actually get a recognizable Earth animal. There's not those scenes. It's implied, but it's not actually there. It's sad. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I guess an animal lover will be sadder at those moments than I was, but I think you can get through it.
The only real cruelty you see in the entire movie is how Nebula speaks to Drax and Mantis. By the way, Ed says Mantis and Drax build a great chemistry with each other. It really came out in the holiday special, and in this last movie, they actually became 2 of my favorite MCU characters.
Yep.
I agree. I thought they both did great.
Yep.
It's sad because I know that some of these actors are like, I'm done. This is it for me.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana says she won't be back as Gamora, and Dave Bautista says he won't be back as Drax. Everybody else is kind of up in the air, and I could see them coming back. But we have a new Guardians team now. But there was a moment for me that really highlights this whole movie. And they've just saved Rocket. They remember there's a call, or he sees there's a call coming in, and they're talking Nebula versus Star-Lord, Chris, or Peter, and they hear Rocket's voice. and Nebula breaks down. She is so relieved that Rocket is still alive and that he's okay. And Mantis sees it and says the words that Nebula probably wanted to say, that we love you and we're glad you're okay. And to me, that was one of probably the least recognized moments, but so damn good.
Yeah.
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 And it sums up this movie is that we have watched them over 3 movies, their appearances in the 2 Avengers movies, the holiday special. All of these characters have grown so much. And we saw it, in Endgame, Nebula and Rocket became close because they're the only 2 left from the Guardians. Mantis and Drax have gotten close. You see these relationships and stuff. The other thing that stood out to me was how Quill and Groot worked together in some of the action scenes.
Yes.
There was a confidence level in the team. That hallway fight scene, as fun as it is to watch, the part that really stood out to me was just how well this team worked together.
Yep.
They may argue all the time. They may bicker and just be mean to each other half the time.
Yeah.
But they have each other's backs.
Yep.
And Gamora fit in there because there's a spot in that family for Gamora.
Sure.
So she was able to kind of
mom.
Yeah. So it was very fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I think Gunn has done an amazing job in creating this trilogy with the add-ons.
Yeah.
And I know he had very little to do with the stuff in Infinity War and Endgame.
Thank you. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Because he actually had to work around it some.
Because we talked a lot about James Gunn tonight, and he is singularly responsible for the success of those 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But if anybody says, well, they can't continue on anyways because we don't have James Gunn there, I would argue, yeah, we know we can, because the way they're handled in Infinity War, to me, the continuity is still there.
Yeah.
They were still handled in a way that it's totally those characters, totally that team, totally the humor, everything. I actually love them in Infinity War, and so it can be done. And we have pretty much a pretty different Guardians anyways, if they did want to, continue on with it. And maybe they'll just become guest stars, in things, or they'll be in King War or whatever the hell it's called.
Well, yeah, probably. Now, I don't think we'll end up, if we do get another Guardians appearance or movie, I don't know if we'll get exactly the team we ended with. I don't know if Sean Gunn is going to continue. So I don't know if Kraglin will still be a member, or if he'll end up getting replaced, if they'll throw Moondragon in there, or Nova, or one of the other cosmic characters in his place. There's plenty of them.
Yep.
So,
well, with these things, you know what? When we pick up with lots of characters, it's usually years have passed. So who knows what will happen?
Yep. Yeah, I think we'll see Phyla-Vell grow up. I think we'll keep Adam Warlock, Rocket, and Groot. I think whether Cosmos stays or not is iffy. I think Kraglin staying is iffy. But I think that's your core of a new Guardians team whenever Marvel wants to tap into it. So,
well, we got to have Star Fox and Pip in there.
And we've introduced them. So.
Yep.
Yep. And Nova. We got to get a Nova eventually. You know who?
Moondragon. I hate the character of Moondragon. Literally loathe the character of Moondragon, but that would be really interesting to throw her into the mix.
Yeah, and also Moondragon is the love interest of Phyla-Vell.
Yeah.
So, the character that actually stood out to me that I thought did a really good job, or the actor, that I really just enjoyed whenever he was on screen, and he wasn't on screen that much, was Nathan Fillion's guard.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
what a funny little thing. Yep.
yeah, and but the expressions, the whole, yeah, I got one of them too, and the guy standing there.
Yeah.
There were some really funny moments in the movie, or
Mhm.
come after me and I shoot carrot guy, and the poor carrot guy's like, what? I mean, there's a lot of good moments of humor in that movie,
There is. There really,
and
really is.
you know, and as much as I dislike Love and Thunder because of the tonal shifts, I don't think they're handled nearly as well as Gunn does in these movies. To be able to go from the moment of Rocket's friends being killed, then switching into a more humorous scene,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Who it's funny, it's just a minor little character, but I like the whole thing where they take the one lady hostage and walk her through the whole thing, and Quill's interaction with her, and the whole thing as they're going along
Yeah,
is very, very funny.
yeah. The actress who played her is Daniela Melchior, who plays Ratcatcher in the Suicide Squad.
Oh
That's
my
one of
God, is that
yeah,
who that is? Yeah, the
yeah.
whole thing with like she was totally into me.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with James Gunn is he likes bringing those actors back and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And if you watch the director's commentary, he'll point out, oh, this guy was in this movie with me, and oh,
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion was in my first movie ever, and that's why I always put him in my movies. And I
Yeah,
had
he's
never met Chris Pratt beforehand, but he and I have become close friends, and he gave a speech at my wedding, and you
he,
know,
Nathan Fillion is like Michael Biehn to James Cameron. Like they're always, they're always together.
yeah.
He's
Or Michael Caine is now to Christopher Nolan.
yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. So, but Michael Rooker is another one. Then he puts Michael Rooker in all his movies too.
Yeah. That was a fun little moment because I kept staring at it going, is that new? Is that new? Did they do that just for this movie? Is that new? Because it's there and gone, but what a fantastic
Yeah,
moment for a minor character like Kraglin, and
yeah,
but he gets an arc.
yeah.
You know?
He does a throwaway character that he gave his brother the role. You know,
I know
and,
it's
and
just
one of the neat moments for I think for James Gunn when the dancing starts at the end, you see
yeah,
Rocket and Groot dancing together.
yeah,
Well, Groot, all his dance moves, and through all of the movies, James Gunn plots out his dance moves. He gets on screen and camera and dances, and they
is
make
that
that
right?
into it. And Sean Gunn does Rocket.
Right, right.
So they show the live footage, the real footage of the two brothers dancing together in that crowd. And it's
Oh,
like,
that would
that's
be.
really neat.
I
You
hope
know?
they show that in the Marvel Assemble. When that should have been out by now, but we know how things are moving slowly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's in the behind the scene footage or the gag reel. Excuse me, the gag reel.
Oh, my battery is running low. Talk quick, Dan.
That's okay. We're technically done.
Yeah,
We're 10 minutes over, but it was a good conversation.
yeah,
I really enjoyed Guardians,
good.
and I'm looking forward to the Marvels. I know that it's supposed to be a little sillier, wackier, is what the director is saying. You know, it's supposed to be more fun, and that's the one thing that I think the first Captain Marvel movie missed. There wasn't a lot of humor or fun
No, I
in
was
it.
going to say we'll see if Brie Larson can smile. We'll see.
I have no issues with Brie Larson.
Okay, I have many issues with Brie Larson. That's
All
not
right.
why I'm going to see that movie at all. It's for the other two.
You're going for the Flurkins, aren't you?
I know. In fact, my God, I hope that's quick and over with. No, I hate that whole part of it too.
By the way, real quick trivia for Guardians. The blurb guy or Blurp, the little creature that ends up hanging out with them for
Oh
most of the
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, that Adam Warlock saves and then kind
Yeah,
of
the one that's literally made to be a plush animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was going to be a cat.
Oh God.
That was the original plan because Gunn wrote this movie back in 2017 or 2018, and it was going to just be a cat. And then Captain Marvel came out with the Flurkin, and he went, "Oh, I can't do that now."
Yeah. Thank God. I
You don't like cats?
I'm not a cat person. No.
Oh, you're going to get more hate mail for that
I
comment than you will the Henry Cavill stuff.
bring it on. Don't like Brie Larson. Don't like cats. Why the hell would I have gone to see Captain Marvel? Because it's part of the MCU.
I'd like to officially say that I do like cats. I used to own them, and I do like Henry Cavill as Superman, and I am fine with. I like Brie Larson actually. So please send all your hate mail to Jim Beard.
Yeah, you didn't want to clone as a co-host. Just keep that in mind.
That's true. That's very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my other big news. I am now big enough or popular enough that people are trying to make fake accounts with my name on it.
You have arrived. Good for you.
I have arrived. Yes.
All right.
All right. We're going to wrap it up there. I'm with Jim on Brie, but I love cats. Okay.
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Ed, thanks for hanging out with us. Everybody else who tunes in, thank you all. Please feel free to comment more next time, though. Join us. And I will see you on Tuesday. And Jim will be back next week with some more Pop Go the Writers. So have a good night, everybody. Have a good week.